to the Lowdown Mortgage Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the topics that directly impact the evolving originator. I'm your host, Connor Bartley. Bam! And joining me today is someone who has built a reputation around consistent relationship-driven growth and delivering a dependable, detail-focused client experience, helping referral partners and home buyers navigate complex mortgage decisions with confidence. Known for blending strong industry expertise with a service-first mindset, Jason Factor, welcome to the Lowdown.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I'm happy
No,
to have you
that
on
was
today.
quite the intro. I don't really get that very often, not even in my own house. So thank you.
Hey, well, you know, we got to get like some intro music going on the Lowdown and get some like the walk-in songs, you know, like for me, I'm like a Back in Black or maybe a Stranglehold, Ted
I was
Nugent
just
kind of
listening to
guy.
Back in
Like,
Black at the gym. That was a good one.
yeah.
I like that.
So maybe we should load those up. But man, I appreciate you being on the show. You're a fellow podcast host yourself. We're gonna do an episode together after this for your show, so that's kind of a cool thing. It's like a lowdown first.
A
But
little home and home. So if people are like anything that we have to say, or you don't get enough of Connor and his expertise, we're going to flip the script, and you can listen to Finance with Factor on your own time and check out his episode as well. So yeah, that'll be great. I'm looking forward to it.
absolutely, man, absolutely. Well, let's kick things off from the beginning, like, and get to know you. How did you get into this mortgage business? Where did the story start for you? And you know, what has it evolved into today?
So it's funny, we were just at our regional retreat, and I made the joke that I've only met one person who was born and said, I think I want to be a loan originator. And it was because his dad did it and his father's father did it. And, you know, most of us come into this industry with something else. For me, and I'm a big fan of this tangential experience being the key part of it. For me, I was in college athletics. I was doing fundraising. I wanted to be in advertising. I wanted to work at an ad agency. And I just sort of stuck around college one semester too long because I didn't want to give up playing baseball yet. So I started working for the athletic department. Next thing you know, we're making cold calls and selling seats, and that works its way all the way up to being a major gift officer. Went to Tufts to run the athletic development shop there. And within a month of getting there, the athletic director was let go. And I was told that I would be on my way to follow, and the new AD would be bringing in their own people. And I was at a loss, right? Like I was at a crossroads. I was feeling pretty burnt out on that industry in general. And I started meeting with people that were just in my network, donors that I had met over the 15 years of fundraising. And every time there was one guy who'd done my mortgage, and I met with him because I was convinced I was going to become a realtor. And he said, you'd be insane to be a realtor. He's like, you have a wife who works at an elementary school and is off all summer. You have one kid and one on the way and two mortgages, and you're going to drop everything. You do realize you're never going to see her again. Nights, weekends, summers. He's like, you can definitely do it. You can count on me. You can send me business, whatever, but I think you're crazy. That meeting ended up, little did I realize, being a lunch with our regional director at the time. And every time I went on interviews at other schools and other athletic development shops, I would come home and I'd say, I don't know, I think I just want to go work in real estate and do mortgages. And my wife said, well, our middle kid now, then our youngest, like Ryan's due in 6 months. So you have 6 months to make it profitable. And if not, there's always another school somewhere, right? So I just kind of dove in with no safety net and no training, no ability to read a pay stub, never even looked at my own pay stub, let alone someone else's. And it was definitely scary, but I don't look back on it with even one moment of regret.
Yeah, man. Well, I love that because what you're bringing up there is something really important with, you know, you got 6 months to do it, right? And I find that over the course of time, we all go through different seasonality in our lives where our priorities are different, what we're able to commit to changes, different things like that. And so, you know, it sounds like for you, it was like, all right, I got 6 months. This is the perfect window of time for me to get in and figure this thing out. And you did, right? And so now,
I
you
had
know,
no idea what
the
I
rest
was
is
doing.
history.
I mean, I got and to be fair, and so I've listened to it's funny, the lowdown comes up on my recommendations all the time. And I saw that you did an interview with a friend of mine the other day, and I listened to the one that you did with him. And I recommend you check out all the episodes. So I won't mention who it was necessarily, but so
Thanks
that
for the
you have,
plug.
so, yeah, that way you have to listen to all of Connor's episodes of the Lowdown to
All
figure out which
80.
one it was. But this loan officer mentioned that kind of a similar story of they came into it with no knowledge, no real background in lending, but tangential skills, and they had to make it work. And what I would say that was similar to my and his story, and we both started at Mortgage Network, was that our the people that brought us in told us that they didn't tell us we were gonna fail. It wasn't the commencement speech, look to the left, look to the right, but they were very realistic with you. And that, like Billy, my boss, was like, the first year you're gonna make maybe $12,000 if you're lucky, right? And in the second year, if you can repeat that, you've won, right? Like this is like opening a restaurant. Most of them fail in 3 years. And so for me, I didn't go into it saying I have 6 months to make this profitable. I had 6 months to show that I could do it. And that didn't mean making $20,000 a month. That didn't mean closing even one loan. It just meant that I knew I could do this, that like the grassroots were there. And I remember the first day I walked into the office, I remember, I had my suit on, my tie, and I walked into the office and met Billy at the door. And I was like, I'm really sorry to do this. I know I've only been here for like 30 minutes, but next Monday, my wife is having her first ultrasound for our second kid. And would it be okay if I came in at noon? And he paused and he looked at me and he looked around. He was like, do you see anyone else here? And I was like, no, actually, I was going to ask if I just joined Enron or what's going on here. And he's like, I don't give a bleep, use the real words, but like, I don't give a bleep if you write loans from a boat in the Bahamas, as long as you're bringing in business.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is different, right? Like now I know my job isn't to sit at a desk. My job is to go out and meet people. And I can do that. I know how to do that. And that really was sort of like an eye-opening moment of like, and he would say, you'll learn guidelines when you get loans. Don't sit here and study textbooks. Forget everything you just learned to pass that exam. Go out and get coffees, get lunches, take people to drinks, go golfing, just meet as many people as you can. And what I will say is the people that I thought I met that were going to be great never panned to anything. But the people that came from those relationships were really where my business started building momentum.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Like a story, just a quick one. I remember I went to meet with, this is just sort of to newer loan officers or people that are wondering how to keep growing their business. I went on a meeting, I'll drop his name, Brian White. He's now at EXP, wonderful realtor. Went to meet with him, and I was living in the North Shore of Massachusetts at the time. He was out in the Millis Medway area. Drove 17 million hours to go meet him in rush hour traffic. And I meet him for muffins and coffee. And in the first like 3 minutes, he's like, just to let you know, the reason I took this meeting is because I love your company. I work with a couple of people over there. And I was like, what a waste of time. And I was like, that is great. They're awesome people. That Providence office, you should keep working with them. They are really good people. I have no idea who they are, but they're really good people, and you should keep working with them. Like, I'm glad you took the meeting. If there's ever anything I can do, you just let me know, or anyone that you know that you think I should meet, I'd be happy to meet with them. And I would drive home the 17 hours home, and I'm like, what a waste of time. Like, I can't even afford the gas to go take this meeting, let alone, like, I can't believe I just did that. 2 months later, he calls me back and he's like, you're never going to believe what happened. But the guy in the Providence office told me that he doesn't have time for my business anymore because it's too complicated and the loans are too small, and he wants to focus on jumbo loans. And my first words were, pretty sure that's illegal to say out loud. And my second words were, I have time for your business. I'll make time for any of your business. And he's not wrong. His business kind of sucks. It's tough. They're really hard loans. They always have hair on them. The borrowers are always, like doing their best and trying hard, but like they're tough loans. But he ended up building out a team, and Bauman Chatrapati, if you haven't met Bauman's a wonderful realtor. Actually, I shouldn't say that on here because these are other loan officers. Don't meet Bauman. But he's a wonderful realtor, and he ended up working for Brian, and Bauman's been one of my best referral partners for many years now. And so you just never know where those introductions are going to lead, and don't walk away from any meeting thinking that was a waste of time.
Yeah. So is that just as time has gone on, has that been sort of your just number one way of generating the next referral is just belly to belly, being persistent about just prospecting and always getting out there and meeting new people? Or have you scaled that up in a way where it's gone from a one-to-one to a one-to-many approach, or kind of what's been your evolution of the prospecting piece of things?
Um, so I'll say this: we were talking about this at the retreat we were just at, the movement retreat. Movement's wonderful for people, for loan officers out there. Highly recommend movement. Tons of training. Like, I've never been at an organization that treats their salespeople so well and really tries to give us all the tools. And the one thing that I always walk away from after these training sessions and seminars and all these things, I don't think that the best fisherman catches the most fish. And what I mean by that is, I don't think just because you are doing the highest production means that you are the best loan officer, right? Like, you never know what's coming up on the other end of the hook. It might be the biggest fish. It might not. It might be one of Brian's really hard loans that takes you just as long as the $3 million loan that I do on Nantucket. Like, it doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean it's lucrative, and it doesn't mean it makes you money, and it doesn't make you a better loan officer. And I've never come into this business with any false pretense that I'm good at it. Um, and I think that kind of mindset, like to your question of how I grow, is kind of similar. There are people that go out there, we're at the retreat, and I hear them saying like, I use Model Magic, or I use this program, and I find out which realtor in my market is doing the top business, and I spam them for months until they give in and get me and let me buy them coffee. And I've just never done that. So one of the things that my manager taught me, again, that like first week when we're just sitting in his office and I'm just watching him do loans to learn how you even answer the phone, right? One of the things he said to me that stuck with me, and I told him this even last weekend, was, you said your best referral partners are stay-at-home moms that teach yoga on the side, and he's like, and have a realtor's license, and they give me 5 loans a year. And you know why they're my best realtor partners? Because nobody else is chasing them, right? Like,
Right.
nobody's going out there trying to get Susan's business because they don't think she does any business. And he's like, so she does 3 to 5 transactions a year, and she sends me all 3 or 5 transactions because the people that are doing business with her are friends and family that trust her.
Yeah.
And that's sort of been my mindset, is like, I don't care. I don't chase production. I don't care where you live. I don't care what kind of business you do. I just want to work with good people.
Yeah.
And
I
so
love
if I'm in a room of realtors giving a presentation or a CE class, there's usually like one or two that by the end of the class, I'm like, I'll follow up with those two, right? Like, I clicked with them, and we'll
yeah.
see. And if business comes of it, great. And if not, no worries. But I try to let the actual transaction itself, like if I can just get my foot in the door and do it, I try to let the work itself get me the business. I really, really don't chase realtors or referral partners.
Yeah.
I
Well,
try to let my work speak for itself.
there is some magic, it seems, to working with the people that you naturally click with. Like, I understand the concept of doing the research and being very targeted in who you're gonna prospect and like I understand that in concept. But what I've also heard in practice from a lot of the originators who've been on the lowdown is that they're doing business with people they feel like they can do life with too. So there's a synergy within those relationships that seems to just make them feel a lot easier. And I think there's a lot of value in that, right? When you're not having to do a loan with somebody you don't really enjoy working with, but you just want the relationship, it becomes very transactional, and it's just this open hand kind of abundance mentality that I see among a lot of really successful originators that seems to kind of keep them in the game longer and help them grow more. And so I love that mentality, man. It carries through with a lot of people who've been on the show.
I'd say like two PSAs. One is, I have a realtor friend. He's a guy I knew from college, and he used to do some decent business and send me some business every once in a while. And I was like working with him because it's fun to work with friends. But he would say, I remember one time he's like, I am so sorry. All of my clients are kind of bleep holes. And he's like, they're just like me. And I was like, I know, Clark. They are. And it's true. People like to work with people like them. So like when I, again, like going back to like, I feel like I'm doing the what's the Tom Cruise movie where the guy keeps popping up and telling him pieces of advice. The agent. I'm blanking on the name of the
Jerry
movie.
Maguire.
Yeah,
Jerry
I feel like I'm
Maguire.
doing the
Yeah,
Jerry
yeah.
Maguire, and like I
I
keep
got you.
quoting
Yeah.
Billy, but like I remember one of the other piece of wisdoms that Billy would say. I remember one time we're in the office and he points to somebody's like, "Is that guy over there? Wears nothing but sweatpants and smokes 3 cigars a day. Used to be one of the top loan officers in the country." And he's like, "You know why? He did business with people that wear sweatpants and smoke cigars, and that's who he hung out with, and that's who he did business with." He's like, "You're wearing a shirt and tie every day. If you want to be the guy that wears shirts and ties, go for it." Eventually I've learned to like loosen up a little bit. And again, my business is mostly parents of young kids. It's first time home buyers. It's a lot of retirees. They're people that I can relate to. Like, hey, my parents are in that same stage. Here's what we're doing with them and their friends. Or, hey, yeah, my kids are going through the same stuff. We're planning for college too soon. Let's talk about the strategy and the financing. Like, these are all the types of things. It's people you can relate to. And you'll get more business because you can be more authentic and make more genuine connections.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great way of putting it. You've mentioned it a couple of times, and I just want to call out and point out like what an advantage it was that you had like a great manager that clearly poured into you, or have a great manager still today, it seems like, but like someone who early on you were able to spend time with, very focused, intentional time to learn this business. And not every originator in the business gets that, right? There's a lot of sink or swim in mortgage. There's a lot of figure it out on your own kid sort of mentality. And
To be
even
fair,
for
Billy did
experienced
let
loan
me
officers
think.
joining a new company, there's a lot of like just kind of figure it out. And so, what an advantage you had to kind of get into an organization and an environment where someone was willing to really invest that time. So, I just want to give them a shout out.
Mortgage Network was purchased by Movement Mortgage a few years ago. Mortgage Network was a unicorn in this business, from what I understand. Again, it's the only business, it's the only company I've been a part of at the time, and it's the only managers that Billy and Jane are the only managers I've ever had. But what's cool about this business, if you're in it and you're in the right place, there's enough fish for everyone. So I know we're all self-employed competitors with each other, but it's a pretty collaborative business, and that like people don't mind if you copy and steal. I've sent my templates that I use and my process to tons of people, even in my own office that work in my own region, because the people I'm getting business with are the realtors I built relationships with, and they're not going to go call Todd or Connor because they don't have a relationship with Todd or Connor. If Todd or Connor called them, they'd be like, "Nah, I work with Jason. I love working with Jason." And it's also one of the reasons, to get to circle back a little bit, one of the reasons I've never tried to chase that top producer, right?
Mm,
Yeah, like I won't name a name, but like if Lisa's the top producer in our market and she's been doing business for 10 years and suddenly she's going to flip all her business to me, like, I don't trust that, right?
yeah,
Like, I just don't trust that. She's going to do the same thing to me in a month when someone else takes her to coffee.
sure. Yeah.
So to me, it's always been like, let the work speak for itself and build the relationship from the experience. And then you earn that trust. And if that happens to be that top producer, and I work with plenty, that's awesome. Right. And now I've built that trust. And it's not just like I'm bribing you with Celtics tickets or going to coffee or lunch or, like, and this is the other thing coming out of the retreat. This is actually perfect timing, because one of the things that always stressed me out is like some people do business with their best friends. Like they go, "Oh, I've known this realtor all my life. We grew up together,
Mhm.
and or this is our friends in the neighborhood or whatever." I've never done that personally. Like I grew up in Southern California. We moved to New Jersey. We came up here for college. I wasn't in this industry for the first 15 years of my career, 16, 17 years of my career. So I didn't come in with that like long runway of built-in networks and friends. All of the
Mhm.
networks that I've built and the colleagues that I've made, like I'm sort of the George Costanza of like not liking my worlds to collide.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's okay too. Like I always felt stressed out when I would hear people be like, "Oh, my best friends are, X, Y, and Z, and they're realtors and we go out for drinks every night."
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to go out for drinks every night with my best friends. Like I don't want to do it with realtors either. I want
Right.
to come home
Well,
and spend time with my family.
yeah, and to kind of go back even further a little bit to our conversation, when you're investing time in those agents that are, like you said, kind of the part-time employed yoga teachers on the side, that sort of thing. There's seasonality to their business too. There's seasonality to their careers. And it may just be a few years and then they're ready to crank it up another notch because now life has changed for them. The kids are in school or
I
whatever
love
it is.
investing in young realtors. I
Yeah.
love so when I first started, again, if you're first starting, one of the things that I did is again, I knew I didn't know enough to fake my way into meeting top producers.
Mm,
So one of the things I did was I met rental agents
mm,
and I worked with a ton of rental agents. And the reason was that I built out campaigns in our CRM with them where we would do, in September, in Boston, every 90% of the city or metro area turns over every September 1st. It is asinine way of doing real estate. But if you've never come to Boston and you want to make your first trip and you're like, oh, the fall would be a great day, avoid the first week of September like it is a plague. I'm telling you that it looks like yeah, like couches on the sidewalk, people throwing things out windows. It's a disaster. It looks like a raid just happened. It's wild. But I would work with a ton of agents, and so like what I would do is I'd set up these cadences so that I would say, okay, you move them in, and let's send an email on September 15th, and just say, hope your move went well, and then on, you know, at the getting towards the end of December, hey, I hope everything's going well. Just checking in, happy holidays. And then in February, I know this seems crazy, but I also do. I know this seems crazy, but renewals are coming up. I also do sales and everything. If you're even considering it, here's a coupon to get pre-approved for $500 off your closing costs. And then in April, believe it or not, renewals are coming up next month. If you haven't had a chance to do it, here's a rental calculator. And then in June, if you're still considering renewing your lease, or if you're considering renewing your lease, I'd love to help you with that. Review the lease terms, make sure that it's still in good standing. If not, happy to help you find a new home.
right,
And
right.
and so like I'm providing value to them by sending those emails out on their behalf or
Hmm.
giving them the cadence to send it out or the tools to send it out. And then they're building their rental business. And if they pick up a sale or two, it's obviously going to come my way because I was the one that built that cadence for them.
Yeah, smart. Yeah, it's an untapped market, so I love that. So as we kind of get here towards the end, Jason, I mean, for anyone who's listening, um, is there a question I haven't asked you, or is there anything that you'd like to share just with the audience that you feel would be important for them to know, or just some advice that you'd love to share?
So the only thing whenever someone's a new parent, I always tell them the only piece of advice that I ever give is people do it on purpose multiple times, right? Like there's no right way or wrong way to be a parent or to do this. I'm not going to I'm going to laugh at you in a couple of months when you thought this was going to be easy and you'd be playing video games because the baby's going to be so easy and you have so much time. But it's the same thing in mortgages. There's no wrong way or right way to build your business as long as it's authentic to the way that you want to build it. At that retreat, there are some producers in our office that are like, I want to be the number one producer in this country. That is my goal. Personally, I want to provide for my family, have a really good life. I have goals every year that I thankfully, knock on wood, have met and continue to meet, and I hope will continue to meet them. But my focus isn't to be the number one person. My focus is to build a good life, build a sustainable practice that I can keep coming back to, and try to keep some semblance of work-life balance to provide for my family and my team. And um, there's just no one way to do it. And I think that it's really important. Don't let with win by noon strategies or the mortgage master conversations stress you out to think that that's the only way to build your business. You build it authentic to the way you want to build it, and your own brand and your own voice will reach people like you. and then you'll actually enjoy working.
Absolutely, man. Well,
It's a
I
great
love
business.
that. Yeah, it really is. Like this is well, one of the only businesses where you can have a high school degree and make heart surgeon money, where you can, where you can do some really cool things, have a lot of flexibility, meet some great people. Like it's the mortgage industry. There's really nothing like it. So anyway, but Jason, I want to just thank you for being on the lowdown. Anyone who can follow you can find you on Facebook, Instagram, Finance with Factor. You've got a great newsletter on LinkedIn, so we'll link you in the summary on YouTube. And just thanks for being.
Appreciate it. And you can find the Finance with Factor podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts. We are going to have Connor on to talk about, you say we open this podcast by talking about how do you meet people? Well, just pick up the phone. And
Yeah.
sometimes you meet really cool people. So we're going to talk about that on this episode. They come out pretty much every Wednesday for the last 5 years. There's over 200 episodes of
Wow.
content. Every week it's a different guest, a different topic, some more related to mortgages than others, but they always tie back into building your business. If you're a realtor, or taking you behind the curtain if you're a home buyer out there. So check it out and pick the ones or twos episodes that you like and give them a listen.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jason. It was great having you on.
Likewise, I'll see you soon.